Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another premiere draft of March the Machine, The Aftermath. Without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1 Pick 1, which is going to be a Doomscar Warrior from the regular March the Machine cards. This is a 4-mana 4/3 trample with a backup 1, so worst case scenario, a 4-mana 5/4 trample if you just put the counter on itself, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player or battle, you get to look at the top X cards in your library, where X is the amount of damage that you dealt to that card, and then you can reveal a creature or land from among them, put it into your hand. So 4 mana for a 5/4 trample that draws you a card every time you hit your opponent or one of their battles is great, and with the backup ability, you can give that ability plus trample to a different one of your creatures until end of turn. So Doomscar Warrior, really sweet green rare here, and we'll take it. Our Aftermath card is Blot Out, which is just a solid removal spell, nothing super exciting there. Other best cards here being Norn's Inquisitor and Halo Forager, in my opinion. Super sweet uncommons. Pack 1, pick 2 now. The only green card to really follow up with is Sandstalker Moloch, which is fine. It's pretty mediocre when you're not playing against blue or black, but those are the two strongest colors in the format. You're going to see them a decent amount of the time, and this card is great when you are playing against blue or black. So a bit high variance there, where it's either great or pretty mediocre. Don't know if I want to use that to go with Doomscar Warrior, but it does kind of just naturally work well with it. Being able to flash out a 4/2 at the end of my opponent's turn when I have 3 mana up, and then on turn 4 make it a 5/3 trample with that backup ability could be pretty big, so I guess I'll just go with Moloch here. Not because it seems particularly great, because there's just not that much else in the pack. There's no like premium removal, there's no bomb rare, there's no other great uncommons, like Rager's good for the red-black deck, Regatha's fine for hitting battles, but nothing incredibly exciting out of the pack, so I think I'm fine to go with Moloch. The Aftermath card this time is a very constructed-oriented one, very focused on shutting off Planeswalker's abilities, but making them creatures instead, which is pretty interesting, pretty unique. Pack 1, pick 3? Well, there's nothing super great monocolored in this pack. There's Nezumi Informant, which is a solid early drop for any black deck, Inger Runeyes, which is a solid value play for any blue deck, and then Phyrexian Censor, which is nice for aggressive strategies. But I think, because I've never done it before, I want to try to go for the full 5 color here, potentially. Green is the main color that you want. When you're trying to play 5 color, green gets access to Invasion of Zendikar to search for 2 basics of any kind, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Green gets access to Blighted Burgeoning, which can make one of your lands tap for an additional mana of any color. Green gets some really good fixing in the format to help you try to play 5 colors, and of course, there are a lot of dual lands in this format at common. So I think I'm going to take Invasion of Alara here. Attempt to go for a 5 color build, maybe. But if it doesn't pan out, that's fine. We're not missing too much out of that pack. Alright, pack 1, pick 4 now. We have Invasion of Lorwyn, which is a fine late-game removal spell. Potentially turns into a very large creature if you can flip the battle. We could also just take a Tranquil Cove to take mana fixing really highly. And if we want to take a monocolored card, start going into a 2-color deck, probably just like Furnace Gremlin, but that's really good for red-black decks. I don't think it would be the greatest in red-green. And Kolagon Warmonger is very much, it's just for a deck with a lot of dragons in it, so not going to do too much in draft. Yeah, I think I'd take Tranquil Cove or Invasion of Lorwyn here. It's pretty close. I think I'm going to go, well, if I end up 5 colors, I can probably find better removal than Invasion of Lorwyn. It is pretty slow, 6 mana, and it's just 1-for-1 removal unless you can hit that battle for 5, which that late in the game, sometimes you just kill your opponent with the 5 damage if you've gotten some good amount of chip damage in early. Pack 1, pick 5 now. Invasion of Pyrulia is a pretty solid piece of value here. 2 mana, scry 3, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land or double-faced card, you can draw it. And then if you ever flip the battle, you get a nice large creature. But this is nice because any battle that's just good on the front half, those are the battles that I like quite a bit, and I think this would be pretty good for a pretty multicolored deck, because we're scrying 3 cards deep looking for specific lands potentially, and immediately drawing that land, setting up our mana a bit, so I'll take Invasion of Pyrulia. I also like the Wildwood Escort, I think that card is fine. Pack 1, pick 6, pretty easy Portent Tracker now. Good card for any green rampy deck. It's particularly great if we can find copies of Blighted Burgeoning, which is the enchantment that allows our lands to tap for a mana of any color in addition to their other types. So with that and a Portent Tracker, we can double up our mana of any color and get 2 mana of any color out of it, as well as the 2 of the natural color that the land produces. Pack 1 pick 7 doesn't have much going on. There's a filler 2-drop, a filler 4-drop in a couple different colors. Rotten Tail is really weak filler, so I don't think I want to take that, even though it's the only card on color to my main color. I think I'd rather take a slightly better off-color filler card, but they're all pretty bad. I don't think I'm going to play anything that I draft out of this pack. I guess I could just take whatever I don't own a playset of yet. We'll take a Lithomantic Barrage. Pretty bad and probably not going to make the main deck, but at least I get to get a 4th copy for my collection. Pack 1 pick 8 now. There's a Kolagon Warmonger again. If we can get a bunch of dragons, we can go for that. We could take a Flywheel Racer, which, if we can crew it, can give us a mana of any color to help with mana fixing. If we play red as one of the core colors of the deck, the Beat Stick can produce us some treasure tokens as we hit our opponents or their battles. I guess our battles, technically, with our creatures. So either one of these seems fine to me. Nice little mana fixer. I don't think I'm on red at the core of the deck yet, so we'll take a Flywheel Racer. It's a little more open. Although that's another Beamtown Beat Stick. Also a Chomping Kavu, though, which is a great card in our primary color. I think I'll just take that. Alternatively, it's Beat Stick or Gloomfang Mauler. Gloomfang Mauler, yeah, Swamp Cycler. If we draw it early, it gets us our black source. If we draw it late, maybe we have a couple... Maybe we have a Swamp on board and a card that adds any color, and we can use that to cast this. Actually, yeah, we should probably take Land Cyclers really highly for an Invasion of Alara deck. Sorry, Chomping Kavu. Could still take the Chomping Kavu, though, if I want to have that backup plan of not being an Invasion of Alara deck, because we are really heavy on green. We're not necessarily 5-color. We could be green and X, just a 2-color deck here. But this pack's pretty easily just going to be another Land Cycler. Could go Invasion of Urgatha for the green-red battles deck, but let's get the Land Cycler. Try to be towards a... You know what, I've got a blue-white duel. Let's get a red Land Cycler. But yeah, work towards being a 5-color Invasion of Alara deck. Seed of Hope can pick a permanent out of the top 2 cards of our library and put it into our hand, as well as gain a couple life. So if the majority of our cards are permanents, which every single one is right now, it's fine card selection. And especially for a 5-color deck like this, where we want to dig far and make sure we're hitting the right lands, if we end up that direction, it's going to be great. Take another Flywheel Racer over a second Furnace Host Charger. Billy Rider, probably not getting played, nor is an Oculus Whelp. See what we open up. Pack 2, pick 1. Alright, Shieldred. Join the party. I guess we're going to start going heavier into black now, because this requires double black. 5 mana for a 4/5 Menace. When Shieldred enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature or planeswalker. So it gets around 1/1 Phyrexian Saprolings and 1/1 Elemental tokens, and it actually makes your opponent sacrifice something decently valuable. If your opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, you get to flip this into the True Scriptures and just go absolutely wild from there. Destroy a creature, then have your opponent discard 3, then return all creatures from graves to your board. If you can survive until that hits Chapter 3, that's pretty much guaranteed to win. Definitely take a Shieldred here. Heliod is a significantly weaker rare. Just returns an enchantment from grave to hand and maybe makes your spells 1 cheaper. And you play them all during your opponent's turn instead of yours. But it requires quite the mana investment to flip and become that really good card. There's nothing great in green or black here. Storm the Seed Core is powerful for aggressive strategies, but I think we're going to be more splashy than aggressive, kind of slower. Maybe just take a Thornwood Falls here, go with our Invasion of Pyrulia and our Invasion of Alara. Really help out that mana. Could also take Halo Forager. Being able to recast a removal spell from a grave is really nice. There's also a Far's Dispersal for decent interaction. It's not a full-on removal spell, but it is very cheap and sets up our draws, which is really nice. And I'll let you go Halo Forager here, I think. Now I'll take Blighted Burgeoning over everything else here. There's no removal in the pack. There's Eyes of Gataxis for a solid value creature, but we're heavier into black than blue. Notvold Hermit is an okay green creature, but I'm definitely not taking that over Blighted Burgeoning. There's not much else for us here. That's a very easy burgeoning. Alright, pack 2, pick 4. There's an Invasion of Lorwyn. Get our first removal spell into the deck. Not a great one, but it is removal. Could jump heavier onto blue with Afara's Dispersal or Captive Weird. But I kind of want to be like mono green 5 color. I don't really want a 1-mana blue card because then I need to play a lot of blue sources to actually get it out early. Same with Dispersal's kind of a 1-mana blue card, but I guess we could play Dispersal later because it is interaction. But I think I'd rather go with the Invasion of Lorwyn here, the 6-drop that needs a secondary color. Emoti, Celebrant of Bounty, is pretty fun and pretty powerful, but so is Tangled Skyline. This can really stabilize you, give you a gigantic reach creature. But there's also Skittering Surveyor, which is really helpful for Invasion of Alara. There's also a Dismal Backwater and a Final Flourish for more interaction. I'm just going to make sure 5 color works. We're going to take Skittering Surveyor here. I'm going all in, and you can't stop me. Now we take a Thornwood Falls over Strobe Knight, Timberland Agent. I don't think I need green land cyclers. I'm going to play a lot of forests, and maybe like one of every off-color land. Use cards like Blighted Burgeoning, Skittering Surveyor to get there on the off colors, so take Thornwood Falls here. Another Portent Tracker versus a Blighted Burgeoning. That's so sad because I want both of them. I'll take the Burgeoning and try to get the Portent Trackers later. I think Burgeoning is just more important because it's the one that can actually provide us with a mana of any color. The Tracker is really good once we have a Burgeoning on the board, or once we have a dual land on the board, but it by itself doesn't fix our mana, it only ramps us. The Burgeoning fixes our mana very, very well, so we'll take that over the Portent Tracker here. Pack 2, pick 8. Good old Markov Baron from the Aftermath cards. Vampire Tribal, not really going to happen here. Take a Temporal Cleansing, I guess. Probably not going to make the cut. Streetwise Negotiator easily. 2-mana 3/3 is a really nice blocker in the early game, even if we're not aggressive. Absolutely take that over Seed of Hope. Wary Thespian is a fine blocker early game. It surveils to set up our draws. We could also take a land cycler here, but I'd rather be on the Thespian. Make sure I have plenty of 2-drop blockers to not get absolutely domed by the aggro decks. Just get completely knocked out of the game before I can cast anything fun. Because I have a lot of big, fun, splashy stuff to cast in the late game that I would like to make it to. Also, I need more early creatures to crew these Flywheel Racers if we end up playing those. Notvold Hermit here. Filler, 4-mana 4/4. Turns into a really beefy threat, but primarily just a 4-mana 4/4. You don't really want to dump 5 mana into flipping this until you have absolutely nothing else to do with your mana. Unless your opponent's completely tapped out. Because spending 5 mana, then you've invested 9 total mana into this thing, and if it gets shot by 1 instant speed removal spell, it's always horrendous. Probably Serpent Blade Assailant here, again sticking very heavy to the green side of the deck, and the Assailant gives us a lot of time. Oh wow, we wield the Emoti. Very happy to see that. I'll absolutely play a nice Cascade spell that could potentially make our random land cyclers cascade in the late game if we manage to cast them off some Blighted Burgeonings. And speaking of random land cyclers, come on in, Furnace Host Charger. This is gonna be a sweet one. Halo Charge Scab, well, if I open up a Sea Double or a Breach the Multiverse, we can do some nasty things with those cards. Alright, Blighted Burgeoning number 3, time to take you over a bunch of rares. Taking it over a Zerda and a Dusk Legion Duelist. Neither of these are particularly good rares for this deck. They're both pretty specific, pretty narrow. Need a lot of backup to make Dusk Legion Duelist good. I guess we have a decent amount of backup, but a 2-mana white card doesn't look like what we're looking for. I'll take another Burgeoning here. Artistic Refusal, I think, is actually the strongest card in the pack, stronger than the rares even. But Burgeoning is perfection for this deck. Probably at the point we don't even want the Flywheel Racers, most likely. What is this? Nashi, Moon's Legacy from Aftermath. 3-mana 3/4 Menace, Ward 1. Whenever it attacks, exile up to 1 legendary or rat from your graveyard and copy it, you can cast the copy. So a hard to cast 3 mana 3/4 ward 1 that doesn't do anything else. Probably not worth it. We should probably actually start taking some removal spells and grab a Collective Nightmare here over a Bloodfell Caves. So I have some amount of interaction, some amount of stuff to recast late game with this Halo Forager. Ooh, Grimgrin. I think I can play a Grimgrin. 5 mana, 5/5. Enters battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step, but you can sacrifice a creature to untap Grimgrin, put a +1/+1 counter on it. We've got a decent amount of creatures. We have some burgeoning 2/2 eggs to flip. We've got Skittering Surveyor to sack, Portent Tracker to sack late game. Whenever Grimgrin attacks, destroy a creature defending player controls and put a +1/+1 counter on Grimgrin. Sure, we'll take it. Pack 3, pick 4. Not a lot going on here. Training Ground's very cool for constructed out of Aftermath, but not really going to do anything in draft. I've got a lot of ramp if I want to just play a random 8 mana 8/8 trample hexproof. I feel like I've got some chunky endgame stuff. I've got Invasion, Emoti, Grimgrin, Sheoldred. Yeah, probably want more setup, but I don't really want War Historian, and I don't think a second Seed of Hope's the craziest thing ever. I feel like I'm really likely to cut a Copperhost Crusher, though. Probably just as likely to cut a Seed of Hope. I'll take it. I've got a lot of ramp here, and if this thing resolves, it does pretty much just kill your opponent. The problem is making it to 8 mana. Deification, another Planeswalker-specific card from Aftermath. That's not going to do much. Renata's okay, but pretty slow. Maybe would rather have an Island Cycler. Do I have an Island Cycler yet? I do not. Yeah, 0 Island Cyclers. I think I'll take the Tidal Terror here. Act 3, pick 6 now. Nothing much going on. Yeah, a whole lot of nothing. I don't think I'll play any of these. I own a playset of everything, unfortunately, so we'll just rare draft an uncommon. Pick a battle. Pack 3, pick 7. We got another Portent Tracker to go with our 3 copies of Blighted Burgeoning, and that might be the little push that I needed to maybe want to play an 8-drop like Copperhost Crusher. 3 Blighted Burgeoning and 2 Portent Trackers. If I get 1 Portent Tracker and 1 Blighted Burgeoning, that is a massive amount of ramp. Yeah, I'm going to scoop that up. See how that works out. Now we take a Blossoming Sands here. Now, a lot of nothing. If our graveyard gets very full of creatures, this could put a lot of counters on the board, but I doubt that'll happen. I guess I'll still just rare draft it because I'm not going to play any of these others. Grab the new hotness for the collection. Not going to play any of these cards. We'll fill out our pretty Dinas. Not going to play any, well, I highly doubt I'm going to play 2 Copperhost Crushers, but it's more likely than playing a Filter out, so I'll take it. Just in case. Alright. Grab some nonsense. Fill out the deck with some nonsense in the end. And this is going to be a fun one to build. And hopefully an even funner one to play. One final pick now, probably a basic land. But maybe not. In this format, the land slot could be a basic land or one of these duels. So sometimes you're going to get a non-land card last pick, and you're like, why is that? It's because somebody took a non-basic land. Oh, so you're going to get just some kind of draft chaff like Mirren Avenged or Oculus Whelp last pick. Alright, I don't think I need the Flywheel Racers with triple burgeoning and some duels and all these land cyclers. So I think I'm just not going to play the Flywheels. Type Cry. Yeah, that's definitely what I meant to type. Alright, Freudian slip, let's go. No removal, all bombs. Not really bombs. I mean, not really all bombs, but there are a lot of bombs. A lot of high impact late game plays. Yeah, no removal is going to be a thing for sure. Alright. Double Portent Tracker, Streetwise Negotiator, Wary Thespian, Invasion of Pyrulia. Pretty sure that all stays in. We have 2 non-permanent cards in the deck, Collective Nightmare and Temporal Cleansing, so Seed of Hope stays in for fine. Early game card selection, we need to make sure we have plenty of spells to play on 2 and 3, because we've got a chunk late game. Halo Forger is like another 6-drop basically, because we're going to wait till we can recast something from someone's grave, which are usually 3-4 mana spells are the valuable ones to recast, like Collective Nightmare, Deadly Derision, Stoke the Flames, 3 and 4 mana instants and sorceries. Halo Charge Scab does pretty much nothing in here. I don't think I need 2 of any land cyclers, so I'll cut one of the mountain cyclers. Again, I feel like I have so much late game, I'm probably not on the Crushers, even with Port and Tracker Triple Blighted Burgeoning. Like, I don't need 8 mana 8/8 Trample Hexproofs if I can just cast Shield Dreads and Grimgrins and Emotes to Cascade and stuff like that for high impact plays instead. That are just cheaper, more consistent. Still need to cut 2 more cards? God dang. Maybe a Temporal Cleansing, so I don't have to get any blue mana naturally. But then my interaction drops down to just Collective Nightmare, Invasion of Lorwyn. I guess I still need the early blue source for Invasion of Pyrulia. Maybe not Volt Hermit is just incredibly filler in here, just right in the middle of the curve, sitting there as a 4-mana 4/4. We want the early game, and then we want to ramp in these mid-turns to just skip over 3-4 mana and instantly into the 5s and 6s, ideally with Burgeonings and Trackers. So, cut the weaker 4-drop, keep the bomb. Seems fine. I like Invasion of Pyrulia in here. It can scry into and draw any land. Like, the really cool thing about Invasion of Pyrulia is you get to scry 3. There's more often than not going to be a land out of every 3-card packet in your deck. So you can just scry the land to the top and draw that, put it into your hand. So it's kind of like the vast majority of the time it's going to guaranteed draw you a card. It's going to draw you a land. And then you get to like scry the other 2 wherever you want. So it's kind of like draw a card, scry 2. Worst case scenario. And then of course if you flip it, that's where you get the really good value. But sometimes you're like really lucky and you actually do hit a Shield Red or an Invasion of Alara or an Invasion of Lorwyn as the card that you draw if you top deck this late game, which is really nice. I guess the not Volt Hermit would be another card to draw off the Invasion of Pyrulia, but other than that, it's not doing much. Yeah, I'll drop Cleansing, not Volt Hermit, that seems fine, and then we just make a good mana base here. Good as we can. So we sort off our colors. Definitely a boatload of basic forests. Tell you that. Put this between blue and black. I've accidentally scooted my green-blue card all the way off. Okay, this is just kind of mana fixing. This is very much a black spell, though. This is kind of mana fixing. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 green cards. 12, 13, 14, 15, if you count all the multicolored green cards. So 15, that's a ton. And then for black, that looks like she might be a little more blue than black if we put the land cyclers in the pockets here. No, 1 more black card than blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue. And that's pretty much it. This is just a land cycler. There's basically no red or white. So we can go 1 mountain, 1 plains, 100%. We do need 1 of every basic for our Skittering Surveyor. Even if we have good duels for a certain color, like we've got good duels for white, but still need 1 plains in case we need to Surveyor it out. Or still want 1 plains in case we need to Surveyor it out, so right there, red and white sources, done. That's what we need there. Blue sources, 1, 2, 3. Actually, let's go green sources first, make sure I've got a really good quantity on green, and then see how much room that leaves us for blue and black. I'm on 6 green sources right now, that's definitely not enough. I'd ideally like to go up to 8 here, 6, 7, 8, which leaves me 6, 7, 8 extra land slots now. So black sources we're currently at 5, and blue sources we're currently at 4. Do we just go 5, 5? Got the double black Shieldred. It's a little hard. I've got 3 Blighted Burgeoning though. So we just try to draw into 1 Swamp, 1 Blighted Burgeoning. Or 1 Bloomfang Mauler to draw the 1 Swamp, 1 Blighted Burgeoning. Or Blighted Burgeoning plus Portent Tracker, or Skittering Surveyor plus Blighted Burgeoning, or Skittering Surveyor plus Swamp. There's a lot of different ways we could still hit double black, but it could be difficult. I mean, every single blue card in our deck only needs 1 blue source. And it's a 5-drop, a 5-drop, and a 6-drop. Outside of Invasion of Pyrulia, that's rough. 2-drop card that requires blue mana. In black, it's also 5-drop, 6-drop, 7-drop. We've got 1 early game piece of interaction that needs the black mana. It's going to be a fine removal spell later, too. Anything else here? We had Flywheel Racers we could run. Could play like a Flywheel Racer over an Invasion of Pyrulian that I don't really feel bad about. Cutting down to like 3 blue sources, 5 black. Yeah. Until we flip Invasion of Pyrulia, it's just a solid draw spell. Scry 3 draw card. For 2 mana. Sorcery speed. Just reasonable. Maybe I do drop this so that I can drop easily down to 3 blue sources and go up to 5 black. I don't think I want an 18th land in here, because we have Land Cyclers, Blighted Burgeonings, and Portent Trackers, and Skittering Surveyor. Again. Yeah, this could be wrong. I'm going to drop Invasion of Pyrulia there to go up to a 5th swamp, and we'll put in either like a Flywheel Racer or just another big end game dork like a Copper Host Crusher. I still don't think I need the Flywheel Racer on fixing. I don't have... I guess I have a decent amount of things to crew it, because I can crew it with my Incubate tokens too, but... I think I would rather... I'm going to try Big Chungus here. Put 1 Copper Host Crusher in. It's probably not right, but I like the card. It's just fun. Let's have some fun today, shall we? I think that's going to be the deck. Just going to go ahead and make my mana base beautiful. Alright, here's a look at today's deck, which is going to be the mono green 5-color deck. We're focused up on green as the core color of the deck with 3 Blighted Burgeoning and 2 Portent Tracker here. So the Blighted Burgeoning mana fixes us for any color as well as ramping us up. And the Portent Trackers, if we have a Burgeoning on board, can make a ton of mana and multiple mana of any color. So really good mana fixing there. We also have Skittering Surveyor, trying to set up our lands, a blue, red, and black land cycler in the deck as well, and then just a curve of some random creatures to keep our opponent occupied, keep ourselves defended in the early game. So a bunch of mana set up, a bunch of creatures to trade off, and once we hit the late game, we've got Invasion of Alara to essentially cascade until we hit 2 non-land cards with mana value 4 or less. We get to cast 1 for free, draw the other one, and put the other cards on the bottom of our deck. So cast 1 spell for free, draw another card, and then if we flip this thing, we do some massive ultimatum style effect that does a bunch of different stuff, which is pretty fun, pretty cute. But our other bombs are a little more consistent, a little quicker, like Shieldred. It's very clearly just hits the board, makes our opponent sack something, gives us a large menace creature, could flip into the True Scriptures to completely end the game. Grimgrin can sack our creatures to untap the Grimgrin to attack and destroy any one of our opponent's creatures. So we get to sack like a Portent Tracker or a Skittering Surveyor to then attack with Grimgrin and kill their biggest creature. A Moti Celebrant of Bounty can get us a ton of value with that Cascade effect, cascading the second that we cast them, and then potentially cascading more times when we cast cards like Invasion of Lorwyn, Copper Host Crusher, and any of our land cyclers if we draw those late game. So a lot of cascade value from a Moti Celebrant of Bounty. And at the very top end, Halo Forager can recast a removal spell from either grave, ideally from our opponent's grave, because we only really have one removal spell in this deck that it could recast, the Collective Nightmare. Invasion of Lorwyn is our one large removal spell for late game, and Copper Host Crusher is just another big, hard-to-kill dork that can hopefully end the game for us, especially with the triple Burgeoning and double Portent Tracker. So the kind of green-based 5-color ramp splashy pile is what we're going for today. Looks like it's going to be a really fun deck to play no matter what happens. And yeah, I'm just excited to get into the gameplay and see what kind of nonsense is going to happen in today's gameplay. All right, here we are on the play for game 1. I'll keep it here. Can hit pretty much all 5 colors relatively easily. I'm going to Seed of Hope turn 1. I think I'll save it, just get this out of the way and maybe use it turn 2. In case I draw 2-drop here. Okay, that is an excellent draw. Now we can play a tap land into Seed of Hope during their end step. Draw a card out of our top 2 of our choice. As long as we don't hit our one non-permanent card in the deck. And I guess we don't get a choice. But we still draw a card. Alright, yeah. Get the Tranquil Cove. That means I just need a red source from Skittering Surveyor and I'm all set. I could get a blue source to guarantee Tidal Terrors coming down soon. Oh wait, no, I have the Tranquil Cove as my second blue source. Yeah, we're really all set. Good lord. Tarkir Dune Shaper. And they're going to flip their Incubator. The Norn's Inquisitor are going to be getting a lot of damage in here. Allowing that Incubator to flip in as a 3/3, and it will allow the Dune Shaper to flip in as a 5/4 trample. We're going to have to get a lot of mileage out of Grimgrin and Invasion of Lorwyn to try to turn things around. Alright, gotta play tap land here. Play Grimgrin next turn into Invasion of Lorwyn, but I might be dead by then. Pretty aggressive start. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Take 8 here. Down to 14. Serpent's Blade Assailant. Gives us a death-touching blocker. This could be greedy, but I'm going to go for Grimgrin first. Grimgrin could block as a 6/6, so if they don't have removal or a combat trick, then Grimgrin does stop their attacks here. They do have removal. Could still choose to sack Skittering Surveyor, and then I have a 1/3 with Defender instead of a 1/2 that could attack. And I guess then Serpent Blade Assailant could put a counter on it to make it a 2/4 later. 2/4 is big enough to block a 3/3 without dying. Daxos, Blessed by the Sun. We're down to 6. Now I can Invasion of Lorwyn, the Dune Stomper, block Daxos, go to 2. They have a removal spell again, then we are dead. Marshal of Zalfir, is also pretty bad. Oh, Wingspan kills us. Didn't even need to play the Marshal. Alright. Well, got aggroed out, as you do. Alright, here we are for game 2. Potential Sandstalker Moloch. Kind of a tongue twister there. For turn 3, and then into the Doomscar Warrior the turn after that. Gold Forged Thoptrix. 1/3 flying lifelink artifact creature. Their legendaries have Ward 2. It's a dinosaur Thopter. Alright, that's sick. Preening Champion. We're getting aggroed out today. These are not the matchups we would prefer to have when we're playing the 5-color deck. Moloch could block the 1/1 elemental, I guess. Could also just play the Blighted Burgeoning to Invasion of Alara next turn. The better to Burgeoning into Invasion of Alara or Moloch into Doomscar Warrior. Probably Burgeoning Invasion of Alara because I need flying blockers, not these ground troops. Yeah. Alright. Could be bad. That is another flyer. Green, white, blue, black, red. We're good. What are we gonna hit? 2 mana value, 4 or less cards. Let's go. Thespian and Serpent Blade Assailant. I should have imagined that. These are both 1 toughness. I guess I gotta play the Assailant because it'll be 2 toughness, but none of this stops flying. We get flyinged out this time. Oh dear. Now a 3/4 flying Vigilance coming down. We have 6 mana up this turn. We can play nothing with flying. Don't think anything we play here impacts this game at all. 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess I could Doomscar Warrior the Assailant for damage on Invasion of Alara and draw a card. Probably the best line, because this 3/2 on the ground to block with just doesn't matter because their entire board is flying. Just playing the blue-white flyers deck that's been around and limited for 2 decades. So I'll take a Portent Tracker to play with our Blighted Burgeoning. I think I'd rather play that than flip a 2/2 right now. The humans get +1 now. We're down to 3. Another Portent Tracker, nothing to deal with flyers. What's Invasion of Alara do when it flips? It doesn't like nuke the board. Draw 2. Get a token copy of a permanent we control, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters, destroy 1 permanent. Yeah, that's not going to do it. Alright. Dead 2 flyers. Our opponent is on the play for game 3, and we have not drawn a green source, which is the most important color by far, so we're going to have to take a mulligan here. Got a burgeoning now. Land cycler. Keep this. Okay, ditch the land cycler here. Go burgeoning into a Moti. Actually, I guess I should have just ditched a swamp, because I have nothing to do on turn 2 in this hand, but if I drew into a 2-drop creature, with how these last 2 games are going, it would be really important to play a 2-drop instead of land cycling. Alright, so it pans out well, because it's going to be so much better to play a 2-mana 3/3 here than it would have been to cycle into a mountain and have 3 of our 5 colors. Another Norn's Inquisitor that buffs the Brawler into a 3/3 immediately, and they can flip that into a 3/3. Another incredibly aggressive start. This is just 3 pretty bad matchups in a row. And get a Death Toucher and make Negotiator a 4/4 rather than set up the Burgeoning this turn. Need to survive. We've been hitting perfect mana. We've just been dying because our opponents are getting out so aggressively, so I need to play everything in my power to survive the early game, to get to our high impact plays later. Cosmic Hunger, there goes the 4/4. No attacks though, that gives us breathing room. We're gonna have a Gloomfang Mauler soon. A Moti into Gloomfang Mauler. If they don't kill a Moti, we'll get 2 Cascades in a row. Could be really big. Send in just the 3/3. Don't like losing my Death Toucher here. So I think I take 3. Seems like it's disincentivizing them from hitting me for 4 with the Trampler every turn. Okay, let's cast a Moti. Cast a Collective Nightmare. Kill the 3/3 or the 2/3 that can do things when it hits us. Probably the 3/3. Just kill the bigger card. And if I untap with a Moti still on board, then Gloomfang Mauler is going to be big. Now I can trade the Death Toucher off, since I'm playing a Gloomfang Mauler with a Cascade next turn, potentially. Cosmic Rebirth. Reanimate the Wayfinder. Alright. Gloomfang Mauler Cascade. Should be big. Well, it's a 3/1. Still pretty solid. And we hit a 6-drop to play next turn. Oh, I don't have double blue. Shoot. I probably should have put that on the bottom. Or in the grave. I had 1 blue. Yeah, we haven't drawn any of our duels here. We're all on green-black sources. They're over it, though. A Moti Cascade is going to get us the stabilization there, thanks to our opponent missing a few land drops in the end from playing any of their bigger spells. They're just going to scoop it up. Had the early aggro, but we found a way to stabilize there, and we get at least 1 win with our 5-color deck. Here we are now on the play for game number 4. We've got a Portent Tracker turn 2, a Thespian. Got the double blue for this late game Tidal Terror if I don't need to land cycle it. Solid way to start things off. 4 out of 5 colors. There's the Skittering Surveyor for the 5th. The mana base is really working out. The big flaws of the deck are really coming in hot, though. The lack of removal against these aggressive archetypes. Ideally, Ideally, what you want in these 5-color decks, if you can't get a lot of removal, are you just want to open up or get past really, really impactful late-game bombs, because there are bombs in this format that could win games even as lopsided as the ones that we were playing against earlier. Like Atali, that's a 7/7 casts 2 spells from each deck, or Elesh Norn gave our opponent's board -2/-2 and ours +2/+2. We just didn't manage to find any of those in our draft pot. I think we pretty much scooped up any of the bombs we got past or opened, since we had the mana base to do them. They're just not the craziest things that can completely flip a game. This game's working out pretty well for us so far, if I do say so myself. Our opponent has played nothing so far. 3, 4, 5. Could play a Tidal Terror here. We find out if our opponent has got the counter spell. Yeah, our opponent has not put pressure on us early, so we just have all the mana to play anything we draw into now. And we're just gonna slam down big spells as long as we can draw them. Tidal Terror is our only big spell for now, though. Errant Angiata is their play. 2/3 flash flyer. They can cast flash creatures and flyers off the top of their library, so a good card draw engine if the top of their library does contain more flyers and flash creatures. Every time they cast one off the top, they've essentially drawn a card in terms of card advantage. Dusk Legion Duelist. Whenever that gets a +1/+1 counter, they draw a card. If they have any backup plays. Alright, another land. Not super what I'm looking for. Let's go. Let's go Mega Mana over here. There's not really any land destruction in the format, so Mega Mana. Really don't think it matters what kind of land I get, but I suppose it should be a black or a green source since those are the primary. Unless I want to play around land destruction, then I could grab a mountain or plains, but really don't think I need to do that. Okay, so I've still got 4 mana to flip both my incubators here. Not that they'll attack into our opponent's board state, but they could give Tidal Terror unblockability. I don't think it needs it. We could have a combat trick here to kill the Tidal Terror, though. That wouldn't be great for me. Yeah, let's just play around a combat trick. I don't think there's a massive reason not to. I guess then I don't have good blockers up for the Duelist, which is going to be a Vigilant creature. I think that's okay. Because this Duelist is more than likely going to have a +1/+1 counter by the time it attacks next turn, and then a 2/2 doesn't block it, but whatever, we're outracing them here. Yeah, put them down to 9. Okay. It's 2 swings from death to the Tidal Terror's unblockability. Plane cycle the Alabaster Host Intercessor to guarantee their 5th land drop. This is a Boombringer Valkyrie. Then I probably lose. Looks like it is not. That is the 5 mana 4/4 Flying First Strike Lifelink with backup 1 to give another one of their creatures Flying First Strike Lifelink till end of turn. Okay. I mean, all they really need to survive here is to blow up this Tidal Terror. It already kills them in 2 hits, so I don't think that I should back up a +1/+1 counter onto it. If I Streetwise Negotiator my Skittering Surveyor, that attacks as a 3/3 this turn, which is tempting. They go block here, unblockable, take 5. Then I could maybe just attack with the board. I could at least attack with Surveyor, Thespian, and Tidal Terror. Threatening to get extra damage in here. So we do this, we tap Negotiator and Portent Tracker. Do I send in 2/2/2s? At 9 life, yeah, I think I sack 1 or 2 of these to get extra damage in this turn. But all of their mana is up here, so I assume it's going to be removal for Tidal Terror minimum. Hopefully it's not anything more than that. Hopefully it's just blow up the Tidal Terror, trade into the Thespian, jump block something. Okay, Angelic Intervention. Draw a card, kill Surveyor without losing a creature. Did they choose Protection from White accidentally? No, that is Protection from Colorless. Alright, that's kind of a weird color for that. Oh, then they just scoop it up. They didn't have removal for the Tidal Terror. They were just trying to draw it off of the intervention there. So turn things right around here. 0-2 start into 2-2, turning this into as close as we can get to an average run as quickly as possible. See if we can't get one more win. That is the big jump in gems on the prize tracker. 250 gems jumps all the way up to 1,000. So this next game is worth 750 gems, fingers crossed. Some slow starts from our opponent here, so we can actually get some cards to resolve before we die, minimum. We'll see what happens as we head into game number 5. Alright, we are on the play, but we've got a glacially slow start, but we have really good mana fixing. I think the mana is just too good to mulligan here. Luckily our opponent takes 1 mulligan, at least. Alright, Blossoming Sands pass the turn. We're going to get a nice little cushion of life gain to start the game off too, with these dual lands. I think I want to just immediately grab a black source. I guess I should have waited till their end step, so I'm threatening the counterspell. But the 2 mana counterspell would not counter that, unless it was negate, but nobody main decks negate. Except for my opponents when it's bad for me. Green, white, black, naturally turn 3. Gift of Completion and Phyrexian Awakening means next turn our opponent gets to attack with a 3/3 Vigilance and a 4/4 Vigilance. And our lack of interaction is going to be a big deal. We've drawn both of our removal spells this game, though. So this game is going to be like we had a normal average amount of removal in our deck. But we're still going to be in a bad spot, because these 2 cards together are pretty nasty. Entire board of large vigilant attackers. Alright, I can't Collective Nightmare the 4/4, so that's just going to hit me. Yeah, I was actually kind of hoping they hit a land there so they could flip both so I could actually kill something. Portent Tracker. Well, I can play the Tracker and still have Collective Nightmare up, so don't mind if I do. Not a bad draw. That's land number 7 out of 8 for Copperhost Crusher, basically. Okay, they flip the 3/3 now. Probably attack both, and then I Nightmare the 3/3. I guess I could block and Nightmare the 4/4, but I'm going to play a 5/6 and an 8/8 later. I can also just kill the 4/4 with Invasion of Lorwyn, so I think I keep Portent Tracker on board and just Nightmare the 3/3. Surge of Salvation. Pretty good card to have for your final 1 mana. Rough for us, for sure. Do I play a 5/6 or do I just straight kill a 4/4? I play a 5/6, they have any removal in their hand. Green, white, or black removal. It'd have to be the pacifism out of white. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. It could be the sack a creature artifact. They have something -6/6, but they don't have anything expendable for that. If they could go Swamp Deadly Derision against Tidal Terror. None of the green removal would work great unless they had a second green source. Cosmic Hunger can't kill the 5/6. Actually going to go for Tidal Terror here. The argument to play Invasion of Lorwyn is that it's going to play significantly better if they have a removal spell to kill Tidal Terror, but on black, white, green, there's not a lot of removal spells that can fully kill it. Now that they have black, white, green, there's quite a bit, but luckily they did not have removal. They're going to play Sigarda, give their whole board hexproof. I guess I have to Invasion of Lorwyn Sigarda now. Yeah, they can cast Angels and Humans and stuff. Cool. So... can I afford to Blighted Burgeoning and Invasion of Lorwyn? I believe I can. 1, 2, 3. I have to tap Portent Tracker, but I can do it. So let's do that. I'm going to put it on a green source. Alright, we kill the only creature we can target, and we pass the turn. I guess I could have attacked Invasion of Lorwyn. They're kind of forced into a chump block there, but then I take 4 on the crackback and go to 7. I'm pretty low on life. I don't really want to not have blockers up. There's a Blight Reaper Thallid. Flip it so they have a boatload of Vigilant creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I tap Portent Tracker, I can play Crusher this turn. But I want to kill Invasion of Lorwyn, which would require me to tap the Tracker and the 2/2. I guess I could tap Tracker and Crusher to kill Invasion of Lorwyn. Or sorry, the 2/2 and the Crusher to kill Invasion of Lorwyn, but then I'm left with a single what? 6/6 or whatever to block with at 11 against all these creatures. I feel like I just let Invasion of Lorwyn chill for a moment. For now... Because, yeah, killing it is going to require me to have only the Invasion of Lorwyn up as a blocker, because I'll have to tap these 2, or I'll have to flip this and tap these 2 to give this unblockable. Yeah, I think I have to just pass. Invasion of New Capenna. That's pretty excellent. Removal, sack their Saproling, and exile any creature we control. There goes Tidal Terror. They also get to Surveil because the Saprolings are Phyrexian Saprolings. Kept the card on top. We probably don't want to see what that is, but we'll find out next turn. Another land for us. If I attack Invasion of Lorwyn with my 8/8, they could block it with everybody. In which case I kill just the Phyrexian tokens, let them keep their 3/3. And then my board state is just way worse than theirs. A 3/3 against a 2/2 and a 1/1. This is not way worse, but they've got 3 more cards in hand. We know none of those are lands because they've missed some land drops, and they have a good card on top off their Surveil. I don't think there's really much way to recover if my Crusher's not on board to block. Alright, we cross our fingers and pray for some non-lands off the top here. Pray for our big bombs. Shieldred, Invasion of Alara, Emoti. All that kind of nonsense. We're ready. We've got all the manas. Oh, is it a Render Inert off the top to flip the Invasion of New Capenna? They're looking at that battle. Maybe they're just planning on attacking it with everybody because they only lose 1 creature. We only have 1 big creature now. Tangled Skyline. Now all of their Phyrexians have reach. And they've got a 5/5. Sandstalker Moloch's not a great draw, but it's not horrific. Pretty much guaranteed they get to flip their invasion here if they want to, or they get to hit us relatively hard. I feel like it's still best to just poke the invasion with Portent Tracker. The invasion of Lorwyn, our invasion. Completed Huntmaster. With Vigilance and Reach. That is a black card, which means Sandstalker Moloch goes ham. Pretty much everything in our deck is a permanent, so we get to pick anything up. Well, it's all kind of poop, but one of them's a Death Toucher, so I think we take that. Well, we got the poop out of the way. Come on, invasions, cascaders, any nonsense? Wary Thespian digs. Wary Thespian certainly digs. Okay, we mill that. If I don't hold up my Crusher as a blocker, I can 100% flip Invasion of Lorwyn this turn, because I can have a Death Touch Trampler. Even if they block with their whole board, they just lose everybody and the invasion flips. So yeah, we won't have the big hexproof blocker, but we'll have a big non-hexproof blocker anyway, so I think that's the best place to put the counter. And they could kill this with 3 of their creatures, but then I kill all 3 of their creatures and the invasion. That's fine. Or I guess 2 of their creatures, their 5/5 and 4/4 could do it. Alright, Invasion of Lorwyn has flipped. We get another 9/9. Oh, it's an 8/8. 9/9 if I play this land, but then they know I don't have anything. I feel like an 8/8's big enough. That already just wins against Incubator by a lot. Yeah, it's probably better to pretend to have something. I guess Collective Nightmare could kill the Winnowing Forces. They can -3/-3 it if I block the 5/5 with it. I'll probably just block the 5/5 with the Death Toucher anyway, and block something smaller with the 8/8. They still need like -4, -4, -5, -5 to kill it. And it's most likely to just be Deadly Derision or something that can kill anything if they're going to kill Winnowing Forces here. Okay. Sculpted Perfection is great on this board. All of their creatures are Phyrexians. They've got a very, very well-built Phyrexian deck here. All Phyrexians all day. Now they have another creature they can flip to be a 3/3 Vigilance Reach. It's just going to be impossible to get anywhere. Their whole board has Vigilance Reach. There's a Moti. I could cast like my whole deck in this matchup, and eventually maybe maybe we get somewhere off that. Another Portent Tracker. Hey, let's go. I guess I've got enough creatures now. I'm probably supposed to start juicing up their Invasion of New Capenna, making it higher toughness because I have so many other blockers. If I attack with a 9/9, they block with a 6/6 and a 5/5, and I only kill one of the 2, so we don't attack. We're going to be hanging out. Teysa Karlov, all of their tokens have lifelink now. Vigilance lifelink, but they already had Vigilance from Phyrexian Awakening. Oh my god. Alright, they are popping off. This is a board stall if I've ever seen one. Good grief. We're gonna mill out first. That might be a problem. We might just legitimately mill out. What are our win cons here? No, Shieldred would kill the heck out of them if they have 8 cards in grave, but they don't. Doomscar would be big, Invasion of Lara is big, Halo Forager's great. Okay, now we've got cards that could slowly get us into a potentially winning position, I think. But I feel like they're getting to a point where they can probably get to a winning position quickly. 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I'd just double that. Yeah, they only have 2 cards in their graveyard. And most of their cards, most of their creatures came from enchantments that are not going to end up in the grave. Even if I kill all these tokens, they still are nowhere near the 8 cards we need for Shieldred to finish them off here. What are they going to complete at Huntmaster here? It's not going to do anything. Oh, it's going to double Surveil. I see. It'll trigger the Gift of Completion twice. But it's just going to turn a 3/3 into a 3/3 again. So they get to Surveil a bunch. I guess on the plus side, they'll actually fill the graveyard a little bit. So I think they kept one on top. They milled this lifelinker, and they kept Thalia and the Gitrog monster. First strike, Death Touch. That is impossible to beat in combat, and I have no more removal, so I'm probably dead. So if I attack in, that can block anything and kill it immediately. If I block, I have to block with 5 creatures that are big enough to kill a 4/4. Otherwise, they first strike away everything that's big enough to kill it, like a 9/9. They get to first strike away any 4 creatures that I block with and leave only 1 behind. So I'd have to block with 5 things that have 4 or more power. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's Thalia and Gitrog monster, I think, gets me here. Unless Doomscar Warrior finds something incredible, but I can't find anything with Doomscar Warrior because whatever I put the counter on is going to die to Thalia and Gitrog monster without dealing any damage to my opponent because of first strike Death Touch. So I suppose I play the Doomscar Warrior as a 4/3. Oh, it comes to play tapped too because this card's really annoying. And put the counter on another creature, making it high enough power to kill Thalia and Gitrog. This is really bad, though. That's probably just game. Because the only way to kill Thalia and Gitrog monster is to lose, like, everything that I have to block their other creatures, and then I have no blockers for their other stuff. Card is absolutely disgusting. I mean, if they attack, they don't get to hold it up on blocks. But, again, I'm still not in a board state where I can really attack well, but I could just keep chumping with, like, a Skittering Surveyor. But they keep drawing cards every time they do that, but it fills their grave, so we still have that Shieldred as an out. We just gotta find our 1 out of 15 here. If we find a Shieldred, we can win this game. That's about it. Because they're going to fill their grave now to where Shieldred would potentially trigger. I think I'm going to start chumping with these Portent Trackers. I gotta check how much mana Shieldred is to play and flip. 5 to play, 5 to flip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, yeah, I don't need Portent Trackers anymore. Let's just start chumping with them. 6 cards in grave still. 7th once they attack with Thalia. Shieldred makes them sack a non-token card. So Shieldred would put the 8th in their grave. Got an Urn of Godfire now, though. Which means they have instant speed interaction for Shieldred. Which means if I try to activate it, they kill it with Urn of Godfire in response. If they don't Urn of Godfire something immediately. But I think they're not going to. So now they even have Assurance against Shieldred. Play a land here to make this 11, so they have to double block with a 6/6 and a 5/5, and maybe I can convince them to pop the urn here. They lose a 6/6 and a 5/5, or they pop the urn. Actually, they could triple block 5/5, 4/4, 4/4, and lose a 5/5 and a 4/4 instead. Or triple block with 3 4/4s and lose 2 of them. Chump. Yeah, they do have infinite completed Huntmaster blocks, don't they? Not against the Trampler, but again, Trampler, they just go... They lose 1 creature on a double block. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get them to pop this Urn of Godfire, which means that we go from 1 out to 0 outs. Maybe I could Halo Forager for something? Surge of Salvation or Collective Nightmare. Not really. Now I could Final Flourish. Okay, Halo Forager's an out now. If I draw Halo Forager, I can kill Thalia and the Gitrog monster. We go back to staring at each other. Uh-oh, this might be lethal. They're going for it. Nine damage to me right now. How many mana value 6 or more cards do I have left? 1? A Furnace Host Charger? Yeah, they're probably not going to Cascade again. Let's get a Chump in. Alright, let's see what they have here. Inspired Charge or something? +2/+1 to the whole board. That would end it. Sack a creature, double Surveil, and get an Incubator. Alright, just whittle down a bunch of the board, I guess. Surveil into a forest, we'll mill that. They surveil a bunch, but it's just the card that they want. So they just keep it the whole time. Well, this does give Thalia and the Gitrog monster a pretty clear path. No longer have nearly enough chump blocks. There's another land for us. I guess because it gains life, I just run it out. Also buffs the winnowing forces, but they're at 37. I mean, they don't have the Phyrexian thingamajigger anymore for infinite chump blocks, so I could send in winnowing forces, but then they flip this as a 4/4. I have 2 blockers. Block there, take 8 and die, so I can't actually declare an attack. So now they can just Urn of Godfire for lethal. Alright. Did not find our outs. And again, Shieldred wouldn't have worked if they left the Urn of Godfire. So we needed to find a way to get them to use Urn of Godfire and then draw Shieldred, but Thalia and the Gitrog monster was disgusting. Oh, Grimgrin would have worked too. Grimgrin would have let us attack and destroy Thalia. We had multiple outs to kill Thalia. Halo Forager and Grimgrin could have killed the Thalia, and Shieldred could have killed our opponent if they didn't have Urn. Those were what we were digging for, but just could not find them in the end game there. Sad way to end it. 2 and 3, never where you want to be, but much better than I thought we'd do at the start. I thought for sure we were just 0-3ing right off the bat. 5-color decks can be a bit unwieldy. They're definitely some of the more high variance decks that you can draft in the format. You are at the mercy of what you get paired against. You gotta hope not to play against some super aggressive decks, and unfortunately we did, for our first 2 losses, just get crushed by aggro, which you can expect. But then the other thing that's not super under your control is the quality of the bombs that you open and get past later. That is the big advantage of playing a 5-color archetype like this, is that you just draft the mana fixing and duels really highly, and some of the land cyclers, to make sure that with the burgeonings, with the trackers, the dual lands, you can play any bombs that you get past or open throughout the draft pod, so that you try to have a bunch of cards, again, ideally like Atali, Breach the Multiverse, Shieldred, that can take you from a losing position when an aggro deck's really going hard and flip it into a winning position for you. Sunfall and the red board wipe work for that as well, to just clear out all their aggro stuff, but we didn't really get anything like that that can completely just flip a losing board state into a winning board state. So that means that our matchup against aggro goes from bad to miserable, because again, none of the bombs really recover against an aggro deck here, unfortunately, but not a lot we could do about that. We didn't open up any bombs that are just good at flipping the board state around like exist in this format. Other than that, pretty low on removal. We could have done a little bit more about that, I'm sure. I don't remember any very clear instances where I passed up on a particularly good removal spell, but I'm sure there was 1 or 2 somewhere in there that we might have been able to have 1 or 2 more removal spells, but we still would have been quite low on removal in general. So for the most part, feels like a draft pod where the 5-color deck did not work out super well, just didn't get any super incredible game flipping bombs. We got strong ones for sure. Shieldred, I guess, could sort of count as a game flipping bomb once your opponent has 8 or more cards in grave, but we did not draw it a single time, so we didn't really get to see that in action. But yeah, bit of a lack of removal, bit of a lack of bombs that can really turn the game around against aggro, being the 2 big flaws to this deck. Other than that, a little more early game drops might have been fine, but we didn't really have much options there. Invasion of Pyrulia doesn't really help us at all against aggro, so I wouldn't count cutting Invasion of Pyrulia as a mistake. We kept pretty much all of our 2-3 drops that could actually block things in the deck. The only thing I could have really done to play better against aggro was like Flywheel Racers could theoretically block, but that's only if I have another creature anyway to crew them. So I just didn't really have any more 2-drops to play. So unless I just drafted 2s and 3s more highly, not much I could have done in the deck building there for a better matchup against aggro. So yeah, those are the big things that we could focus on in the removal. Pick up, or focus on in the future, pick up that removal really highly, make sure we have ways to survive against aggro. But other than that, I obviously can't magically open better bomb rares. I can just take the ones that I open, take the ones that I get past, and we did that much. So, fall down the 2 and 3 hole here, at least not an 0-3, like it was looking from the start. So still a pretty fun draft, still got to do some silly stuff today. Yeah, I'm not super unhappy with a 2 and 3 result out of this deck. I think the deck did end up pretty mediocre. This is what happens when you just don't get a ton of removal or bombs for the 5-color deck, when you push into the archetype heavily and then it doesn't pan out perfectly. So not the most disappointing ending if it weren't for the fact that we are leaving with only 250 gems. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching the videos. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, you can always leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like the YouTube algorithm to send you more of the videos in your recommended feed. If you'd like to hang out with me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.